Good afternoon. I would like to thank everybody for coming, and this is a very big day. Before we get fully started, I'd like to first introduce the individuals who are here today to speak. We have Stephanie Kunkel of Clean Water Action, Catherine Baer of the Tea Party Network. We have Dave Cullen of the Sierra Club. We have Patrick Dawson of Ideas, Randy Miller of the Florida Retail Federation, Mike Antill of Florida Solar Energy Industries Association, and we have Stephen Smith, of course, of Southern Alliance for Clean Energy, and myself, Tori Perfetti, Chairman of Floridians for Solar Choice, as well as the Florida Director of Conservatives for Energy Freedom. We also have a few groups that have joined. As I mentioned, a couple of the individuals here today represent some of these, but we have Clean Water Action that has joined the fight. Environment Florida has joined the fight. Evangelical Environmental Network has also joined. Greenpeace USA, Ideas for Us, Physicians for Social Responsibility Florida, Rethink Energy Florida, Sierra Club Florida, and the Tea Party Network, which is also a statewide organization. And today we are here, as I said, it is a monumentous day. We are here to announce that we have reached the 100,000 mark of signatures in roughly about a month, which is a very big feat, which means we can now move ourselves on to the Supreme Court. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome Stephanie Kunkel of Clean Water Action.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Clean Water Action is proud to join Floridians for Solar Choice, a coalition of businesses, conservatives, and environmental organizations working to expand solar choice for Florida's families and businesses. We support the efforts to remove a barrier that currently blocks clean, renewable solar power. We believe the Sunshine State should be investing more in solar, particularly providing incentives to residents to help reduce our dependence on oil and natural gas. Unlike conventional power generation, solar power generates electricity without relying on water use, thereby moving us to a cleaner energy future for generations to come. Clean Water Action is a 1 million member organization of diverse people and groups joining together to protect our environment, health, economic well-being, and community quality of life. For over 40 years, Clean Water Action has advocated for clean, safe, and affordable water and prevention of health-threatening pollution. That's why we're proud to support this solar ballot initiative, which will decrease water usage and prevent further water contamination from non-renewable energy production. We look forward to working with Floridians for Solar Choice to place this measure on the ballot in 2016. Thank you.
Catherine?
Hi. The Tea Party Network is proud to join Floridians for Solar Choice and this broad coalition of organizations in support of the ballot initiative, which will advance the rights of property owners. TTPN and conservatives have always championed private property rights, responsible government, and free market competition. This amendment is responsible in that it doesn't raise taxes, it provides no subsidies, nor mandates anything. It is unfortunate that we have to use this amendment process for this. Bills to allow solar choice have been filed with the Florida legislature for the last 3 years. And unfortunately, due to the undue influence of monopoly power companies, they didn't make it out of legislative committees. The bills were never even granted a hearing. That is why we must take this issue directly to the people. Thank you.
Dave.
Thank you. I'm David Cullen for Sierra Club Florida. And Sierra Club was founded in 1892. With more than 2 million members and supporters, we've protected millions of acres of wilderness, helped to pass the Clean Air Act, the Clean Water Act, and the Endangered Species Act. And in recent years, we've been leading the charge to move away from dirty fossil fuels, which cause climate disruption and pose health hazards to humans. We are working towards a clean energy economy. The Florida chapter's 28,000 dues-paying members, our volunteer leaders and activists from all over the state, are pleased to join this common sense coalition effort and encourage our members to educate their communities and help get petitions signed. Our goal is to free Florida's energy grid from dirty fossil fuels. It's dirty digging them out of the ground, and they dirty our air that we breathe. We have to reduce carbon pollution and mitigate the long-term effects of sea level rise and climate change, an issue of major importance in a state with as much coastline as Florida. It's an existential threat to some of our communities. And it's a very nice bonus that transitioning to solar will lower homeowners' monthly bills and create good-paying jobs. People get it. Some may think this is an unusual group of people to be working together. But what we share is common sense. People should be able to choose, not to be locked into a monopoly for their power. That's why over 100,000 signatures were collected in 1 month, more than enough to send the ballot language to the Supreme Court for review to make it eligible for the 2016 ballot. And the common sense people of Florida will approve this amendment in the 2016 elections. We look forward to helping our partners make that happen.
Hi, I'm Patrick Dawson. I'm an electrical engineering student at Florida State University. I would like to thank Susan and Mike and the whole team for giving me the opportunity to speak today on the behalf of Ideas for Us, a youth-led sustainability nonprofit organization that I'm a part of as chapter leader here at Florida State. According to a recent poll by the NRDC, 77% of Floridians have a positive attitude towards renewable energy sources. This does not reflect the only 4,000 jobs that are currently employed in the solar market. I myself am a graduating senior at Florida State University and would like to pursue a career in clean energy. I am not able to do that in this state. I, just as one of my best friends, Justin Vandenbroek, who spoke at last year's Solar Summit in Tallahassee, have to move to the West Coast to pursue careers in advancement of renewable energy technology. Just as we, as Ideas, assisted with the successful Florida Land and Water Legacy campaign, Ideas is fully committed to mobilizing our network of chapters and youth voters throughout Florida to raise awareness, sign petitions, educate voters, and work with this amazing coalition to make Florida a leader in solar technology.
Good afternoon. My name is Randy Miller, and I'm the Executive Vice President of the Florida Retail Federation, and we're here just to celebrate the interest that has occurred with this wonderful coalition of diverse groups that have come together for this most common sense issue. We have been advocating this for a number of years, and finally we have a group that has gone out and done the homework, and we've got a movement going. And this is I wanted to be here to celebrate the first milestone. The 100,000 petitions will put us before the Supreme Court. This is a serious effort, and we hope to be the first effort of success. So again, the Retail Federation is proud to be a member of this coalition, and we look forward to a successful conclusion.
All right, hey, good morning. I'm Mike Antile. I'm the Executive Director of FLOSIA, which is the Solar Energy Industries Association here in the state of Florida. We are the solar businesses. Much like Randy, we're here to celebrate just the phenomenal momentum that's happened so far. We're very excited. The solar companies in the state of Florida are engaged and organized like we probably have never been in the past. We've got at least 75 businesses that are fully engaged. They're out there, they're beating the streets, collecting signatures. And what we've also done, something that is unprecedented that I've never seen, is we have established an infrastructure to be able to provide support for the volunteers from around the state. We actually have infrastructure covered in every major metro area in the state of Florida, where we have a volunteer distribution center, a solar business, somebody in the industry who's acting as a volunteer distribution center and providing the support to the massive amount of volunteers that we have out there all over the state. So we're very excited. Solar industry obviously is very happy to be part of this. We're moving along. We're hitting the cover off the ball so far. 100,000 signatures in about a month. I mean, that's a serious thing. We're excited. We're ready for 2016 and some big changes here in the state of Florida as far as solar goes. So thanks.
Great. Well, thank you. My name is Stephen Smith, and I'm the Executive Director of the Southern Alliance for Clean Energy, and we're one of the founding members of the coalition. Again, we're here to celebrate and be very excited about this important milestone. And I wanted to talk just a little bit about exactly where we are with the signatures, because what it takes to pull together 100,000 signatures, to get them quality control and quality assured, and then submit them to the county supervisors of elections. we are in that process. We have gathered literally over 100,000. We're about 102,000. We have submitted 92,000 that have actually been submitted to counties. In your press packet is actually a listing of the counties where those submittals have taken place. We have another 10,000 that are in process where we're checking to make sure before we submit them to the counties that they have all been properly filled out so that we increase the validation rate. And then we anticipate that over the next 2 to 3 weeks, those signatures will work their way through all the county supervisor of elections. The next step is that they will then send a notice to the Secretary of State. The Secretary of State will then communicate with the State Attorney General, and then the State Attorney General will actually communicate with the Florida Supreme Court and trigger the process for starting the review by the state's highest court, the Florida Supreme Court, to look at single subject and ambiguity around the wording and other things. And so we anticipate that this process will be unfolding in the coming weeks, and this is an important milestone. We obviously will need to continue to be gathering signatures during this review time, and we have to have the close to 700,000 signatures effectively gathered by December of this year so that they can get processed through to meet the February 1st deadline of 2016 that is required to get on the 2016 ballot. So, as others have said, this is a very exciting day. It's a testament to the popularity of this, the fact that so many people from both the right and the left have come together to give people a voice and a choice in Florida, and we look forward to other important milestones as we meet in the near future. Thank you.
So as you heard, big day and a lot of new groups, and it's a continually growing movement. We have other groups that will be coming on board, which we hope momentarily, or shortly, I should say. And I'd like to open it up to any questions. Yes.
My name is Lisa Miller, an interested party in the Property Assessed Clean Energy Program.
Mm-hmm.
That program, as you know, allows residential and commercial property owners to improve their property for solar and wind mitigation and roll the cost of that in their property tax. Currently, there's a Supreme Court challenge by the Florida Bankers Association because they are concerned that the PACE lien is senior to their mortgage. And we have tried to educate the bankers that those that improve their properties in these ways are not the type that might default. It's been a very challenging battle. And so I encourage you to bring the bankers to the table for your efforts so that they too will understand the importance of solar, and perhaps we can work together to make Florida what it needs to be, which is energy efficient and windworthy.
Well, I think that was well said. And
lastly, is there a way that we can educate folks on the return on investment when they put solar in their properties? One of the complaints that we hear is, gee, I'm going to spend this money, this may be for you, Mike, I'm going to spend all this money in putting solar panels on, and I'm not going to have 10-year ROI, and the solar panels are going to disintegrate, and I won't get my money back. So maybe this is one for you, I'm not sure.
well, we are going to be educating, and we're continuing to move. As we said, this has moved very rapidly. We've had a lot of moving parts that we're attempting to, further organize to, I guess what I would call organize the organization. So we keep moving forward. We're doing what we can as we can each day, every week. We're going to be out there. We're going to be talking about this. We're going to be educating people on multifaceted parts of this. And Mike, if you'd like to say anything on that, or no?
I mean, I can say one thing real quick. What I would say is there is a ton of information out there as to how solar is affordable. And unfortunately, in the state of Florida, there's probably a lot of misinformation on how Florida is not affordable as well. But you really do not have to look too far, and we've got a ton of resources here in the state of Florida that can show you, very specifically what the ROI is.
What's the next step in taking this to the Supreme Court, or what's the next step in general with your signatures now?
Well, right now they're being processed there, as I believe Steve had said.
Yeah, well, basically what's happening is that the 92,000 have already been submitted to the various county supervisors of election. They have up to 30 days, we hope that they don't take that long, to review those and certify whether they're valid. We anticipate that some percentage of them will be disqualified. There's another 10,000 that are in process that will be submitted soon, which will get us they've been collected, they just haven't been submitted yet because we review them before we submit them. Those 100,000 will be all processed within the next 2 to 3 weeks, and then the supervisor of election will be reporting that to the Secretary of State. Once the Secretary of State sees that 68,000 roughly signatures have been validated, they then notify the Attorney General, and the Attorney General will then ask for the Supreme Court, will trigger the Supreme Court review. And that's the sequence to get to the Supreme Court. Now, the Supreme Court has their own schedule that we'll be working with, and that can be a little tricky, but that's the next step as these signatures work their way through to trigger that particular point.
And we'll be continuing to collect signatures during that part. As we said, we have a large volunteer network, somewhere along the lines of, I think, approaching 1,000 volunteers that have signed up with us. So we will continue to be doing our part while the process is taking place.
Now that you reached this milestone, what would you say are some challenges you guys have come across, or what would you say is the biggest hurdle for this to make it to where you want it to be?
From up to this point or going forward?
Both.
Well, up to this point, I have to tell you, we haven't really seen a hurdle. I mean, there hasn't been negative responses. I haven't had individuals complaining about anything. It's been an incredibly positive reaction. The fact that 100,000 people within roughly a month put their name to paper and said, yes, I support this. It's a very, very unprecedented process with the type of response we've had. Going forward, I don't necessarily see any hurdles from the consumer or business class within Florida. Positivity is going to be there. People can see the ballot. They've had plenty of time to read it. Everyone who reads it understands that what we've said it does, it does. So there's nothing hidden in it. There's nothing extra, nothing that is going to surprise anybody. So there wouldn't be any reason, in my opinion, to see the consumers of Florida, to see the citizens of Florida to have any different reaction they've already had.
I would just add that, to build on what Tori said, there hasn't been anything negative, but the positive response has been a bit overwhelming because it has taken us some time to get our sort of infrastructure to manage when you have 1,000+ people contacting you to want to help. And we're just getting started. It has been logistically challenging, but it's been logistically challenging in a good way. And so that's very favorable. I would add that we anticipate probably the biggest challenge. We're about solar, we're about light. We do expect that the dark side is going to show up at some point and start working against us. They've been claiming at this point that they have no comment, but we anticipate a fight at some point from the monopoly utilities.
What do you all say to them in their argument that if you add a whole lot of rooftop solar, that this will create a burden on the low income, the poor, the middle class, and paying for the cost of the grid?
Well, right now, it's harming the current situation we have right now is harmful to the poor. You have an issue in the state that we're fighting saying, look, individuals who are not necessarily wealthy can't enter into contracts to put solar on the roofs. There isn't going to be an infrastructure problem considering how the infrastructure is currently in the state. I think a lot of these arguments are arguments being brought up in order to try to manipulate a message away from what people understand the truth to be, which is this ballot initiative, getting out there for people to be able to vote on it. It's going to improve the state as a net win across the board.
Let me add to that. It's a good answer, but let me just add. The reality, that what I would say to the utilities is, show me where that happens. There is no factual basis for that claim. What is happening is that the utilities, because they don't have a good planning process, and because they're not planning for solar to grow into the market, they are continuing to overbuild. And because they're overbuilding, and when customers start doing more with solar, there may be, in their eyes, some assets that they overbuilt that they don't need. If we had a good functioning Public Service Commission with a good planning process, and we had utilities that would actually work with the citizens and what they want instead of only focusing on their shareholders, it's a non-issue. But because the utilities aren't willing to do that, they're creating this paper mythology that they don't have any factual information to back up. So it's a fallacious argument that needs to be discredited, and they need to come forward with real documentation instead of misleading people and trying to take advantage of people.
And I think you are going to see, as Steve has mentioned, we've had a nice open, clean, free ride as far as no response yet from utilities. But you will start seeing information that comes out that doesn't have basis in reality, basis in fact, in order to skew what's been happening. But again, the information flow has gotten out there. People have seen it. People understand what's at stake here. People understand the benefits of this. I don't believe there's going to be a lot of success in attempting to manipulate the message into any type of, as you say, fallacious way. So, any other questions? Okay. Well, I'd like to thank everybody for attending and appreciate it. Have a wonderful day.